fence. I mean, it's another whole different, you know, especially when you're planning, putting this stuff out. You're scheduling stuff and the court rolls.
Olivia,
pretty quick.
since you and Brian have kind of been connected, why don't you better introduce Brian and give us.
Well, as most of you know, from getting my almost daily emails, equipment theft is a big problem, not only in our area, but also in the country as a whole. And Brian had experienced one or two thefts, putting it mildly. And so he decided to do something about it. A lot of guys have some type of video equipment installed, supposedly to deter theft, but all it does is record the guy in the ball cap with the hoodie up that looks like 20,000 other guys taking your equipment. And it really doesn't do anything to stop them. And Brian has come up with a solution that actually has deterred people from stealing, and I think they've even caught some folks. So we thought I thought it was so different and innovative that it was something worth bringing to the board so that perhaps we could recommend it to our membership as a whole. So Brian Rucker.
Yeah, I'm talking, Brian's a dealer.
Yeah, I'll get into that.
Okay, good. He's one of us.
Maybe you want to just continue, huh? I know quite a few of you in here. The others I've met, and I hope to meet some more of you after I get through here. Thank you to the Southwestern Association for letting me come up here and share this, and thank you to the board members for allowing me to come into the meeting and share this. A little bit about myself. I graduated from Sam Houston State University in 1989. Currently president of Rucker Equipment Company. We are a Kubota dealership. Case IH International in the past. The dealership we purchased it in '95, and it was an IH dealership. Started back in the early 50s. So currently president and CEO of EPS. That's Icon Protection Solutions. That's who I'm here today representing. So kind of wear two hats. Then you go back to the dealership, and as you well know, you wear more than two. You wear a lot of hats. So, you know, I didn't wake up one morning and decide that, hey, I want to be in the security business. Nor did I wake up one morning and decide that I want to be an accountant or an IT person. And lo and behold, here we are, you know, do both of them. And I know most of you, when you go back home to your dealerships, you're forced into that accounting office where, if you're like me, you got to track the dealership equipment business either because your family was in it or else you want to sell equipment. And as your business evolves, you kind of move a little further and further back in that corner office. So, who is EPS? We're a results-driven professional video surveillance and monitoring company. And I want to emphasize monitoring, and we'll get to that here in just a minute. We specialize in virtual guarding businesses, and it's not just equipment businesses or dealerships, it's other businesses as well. We detect the thieves at the perimeter before they do any damage to your perimeter fence or your building, and most of all, before they took off your inventory. Broken into 8 times in 5 years. And I'll talk a little bit here in a minute about conventional alarm systems. We have tried, and I'm sure some of you have tried the same thing. If you haven't been broken into, consider yourself fortunate, because it's going to happen. And we tried dogs. We tried barbed wire around the top of the fence. We tried signs. It says we have big dogs. Big signs go with the big dogs. The wire in the perimeter fence, I thought, man, I'm going to outsmart these guys. I'm going to run this wire and I'm going to weave it in and out of the cyclone fence. And when they're cutting that, they're going to cut that wire and the alarm's going to go off. I thought, that's really going to work. So the break-in I had last year before we had installed our new system, they cut the chain link horizontally, took the wire out, laid it on the ground, then cut the wire or chain link vertically and drove everything out through the chain link fence. So what you have to understand, and I've learned a lot dealing with the task force in Texas and other law enforcement agents, these people, they don't have regular jobs. They're not like we are. They're casing your place out. And every time there's a theft, we think, man, it's an inside job. I know it's old, what's his name, that I fired 3 weeks ago. He wrote down everything, and it may be, I'm not saying it's not. these guys, it may take them 2, 3, 4 months or 6 months to figure out what's going on at your place of business, but they're going to do it. And a lot of times, it's not local crackheads just looking for their next fix. It is, but there's a lot more going on than just the local crackheads. You've got someone up there today who get their hands dirty that's sending down an order that says, I want this, this, and this. I've got a home for it. And I need it by this certain date, and they go get it. And they move from town to town. Wiring the perimeter fence, video surveillance is kind of funny. I've had video surveillance now for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And I go in the next morning and I'm like, golly, is the hard drive full? What do we need to do? Did it dump it? Did it restart? What's going to happen here? And not only that, we get broken into. I go in the next morning and I see that we've been broken into, and I rewind the video only to see them leaving my property with the stuff that they came there to get. That's happened multiple times. I looked into a live guard, and some of you here may use a live guard now. You know the cost associated with that, and you can't afford, I couldn't afford, I won't say you can, I couldn't afford to have someone there at night when we were closed, or on the weekends when we're not there, or on the holidays. So a live guard was not an option to me. So 8 times in 5 years, every time I was broken into, I was like, back to the drawing board, what are we going to do next? And cable lock. I thought, man, this is it. The cable lock ties into your conventional alarm system. Well, when we broke it into June last year, they used my deer stand, my lean-to stand, that's parked way out back where you're not supposed to see it. They climb up on the roof, they cut a hole in it, they come in, they know where the central alarm system is, they take a hammer, smash it, it's done. What the central alarm people don't tell you people, or me, is that, do you realize once they break the contact, you're going to get an audible? We all know that. The light's going to flash and no one's going to pay attention. But what they don't tell you is that it's going to take 4 to 5 minutes for that alarm to call out to the monitor center, and then for the monitor center to call back to that central alarm to say, hey, there's really something going on here. We don't know that. I didn't know that. Maybe some of you know that. But these guys know that. They practice this stuff. When you and I are at work, they're at home doing mischievous things. So they come in, they smash it, they have a run the mill at your place. The break-in in June was the first time they penetrated the interior of the building. They used my cutting torch to cut down my pipe fence on a major highway, mind you, to drive everything out. No one was watching. I'd had enough of it. And that's why I put the stop sign on here. I thought it pretty fitting. I had to put a stop to it. And that's where EPS was started. I started looking for a way in technology that I could protect. I wasn't really concerned about everybody else's. I was concerned about mine. Because I knew where my insurance premiums were headed, my deductibles were going. And not only that, when you have a theft, you will never recoup the total cost that theft cost you from your insurance company paying you. Not to mention your deductible. It's not going to happen. If you're honest about what you're doing, okay, it's not going to happen. I came in contact with a man named Alex Allen, who's a partner of mine through a mutual acquaintance. And Alex has worked in the industry, or is in the industry 15 years, and was working as a IT technician and a video surveillance tech, overseeing installations throughout Florida, Texas, the whole Southeast. And he was fed up with what he was doing. Basically, the way they work is let's hit a town, run in, sell video surveillance, and boom, we're gone. When they call for service, we'll shovel it off on somebody else. We don't want to pull that part of it. So it was a good match. Alex is a smart man. He's very savvy with IT, and that's what makes this whole system work. NER, most of you have seen it in your emails, and I'm not sure, maybe you can help me, Olivia. Not every theft is reported, is that correct? Or is it?
Oh, to NER, not
To
necessarily.
NER. So there's a lot that we're missing here. But Texas is number 1 in a lot. We're a big state, but look where we fall in equipment thefts, and we're number 1. And I know there's some of you from here from Missouri, Oklahoma, and other areas, but these aren't pretty numbers for our industry. The top 5 states account for 43% of all thefts. Now, this is ag equipment, this is ag tractors, and it's also construction equipment. And we had a meeting with the task force in the Dallas-Fort Worth area here not too long ago, and this sounds crazy, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but the truck driver shows up to a job site in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with all the construction going on. He's got a hard hat on, an orange vest, big truck, RGN trailer. He jumps out, loads up an excavator on his truck, and he takes off. No one asked him what he was doing, why he was there. He drove off with a $250,000 excavator, and no one said a word to him.
We got guys coming right off our lot.
You did.
They don't care, is my point. We've got to be more cognizant to ask why, what, and what's taking place.
Crazy.
If we're going to stop this as a group, we've got to get a little more involved with what's going on. It may start with your employees, your salespeople, or for this case, the construction company, at least having something in place to say, if someone shows up with a big truck, let's ask who he is and who he works for.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Conventional alarm systems and why they don't work, I touched on that a little bit. And this was taken from the City of Dallas website. I mean, this is things that they talk about all the time. More prevalent in the major metro areas, Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. When you get into the rural areas, they're probably still going to respond to your burglar alarm when it goes off at 2 or 3 in the morning because a spider crawled across the little thing inside the building. Here's their stance on it. In fact, on false alarms, only 1% of alarms that are activated are true emergencies. That means 99% of alarms from a conventional system are false alarms. And I'm not here to bash the alarm industry. Some of you may be associated with it, but I'm here to tell you for what we use it for, it does not work for us. The intruder can render alarm system a nuisance by causing it to false, but you'll make it go off. He'll run back in the bushes or cross the levee or wherever. He'll see who shows up. He may do it again. And by the 3rd time, the sheriff's department or city police probably not going back out there. Well, he's in for the evening. Stealing your stuff. Phone lines can be cut, wireless cell signals can be jammed, and basically rendered useless. And the number one thing that we have as equipment dealers is our assets are, we don't park them by the building, nor we park them inside the building. They're parked away from the building. Most sites that we look at are 2 acres plus. Some of them even 10. Some of the bigger sites we're working with are 10 acres. So with the alarm system, we're protecting the building, and then if we have a cable lock, it's an extension of the alarm system. So when they disable the alarm system, they disable the cable lock. False alarms are city financial burden. Ryan Evans, Assistant City Manager of Dallas, stated in the Verified Alarm Response Presentation Memorandum, police do not routinely respond to a burglar alarm signal from a commercial location. Folks, we're a commercial location. He also said police will respond only after receiving verification from an alarm company, private security, or other responder that a crime has occurred or is occurring. This is just a snapshot taken from one of our dealerships where the police is just doing a walk around. So, and the more false alarms we have, it's hard to get much above 99%, but they're going to continue to frown when you call about a alarm going off. Not to mention, they don't go off till maybe 1:30 at the earliest and 4 at the latest. So you're getting that phone call, or your store manager's getting the phone call, and it's like, do we want to gamble or do we want to go in? What do we do? So, why monitor surveillance systems work? And this is a good picture, and I'll tell you about that here in just a second, but I'm going to show you why, if you just have surveillance, why it doesn't work.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay. Well, I was in the way that time. Let's do it again. And I'll tell you a bit about this client here that has a
pretty easy.
You recognize me yet?
Yeah.
Look a lot like Tag Webb.
Yeah.
You wasn't running, was it like that?
Yeah, it was. Come to think of it.
Here it comes.
I don't know, make it play again.
It did, you've been playing.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't played, okay,
Yeah.
well, okay, it didn't show up on here. So anyway, this client right here owns a tobacco store, and small system, couple of cameras inside, one on the back, one in front. And he did not want to pay us to monitor, which is fine. This is what happens when you have unmonitored video surveillance. They destroy the system and they go in and do what they came there to begin with. So they take the camera down, then they disable the central alarm system, and they took $30,000 worth of cigarettes off in less than 40 minutes they were in this place. Had we have seen this guy coming at the camera with a crowbar, it would have been an initial phone call to the local police saying there's a crime in progress, you need to get there now, and we would have stopped it. Unfortunately for this gentleman, he didn't have insurance to cover his contents, so $30,000. I hate to see stuff like that. We set up our system so that most of you are familiar with the D-Mark where your cabling comes into your building, phone lines. We set a system up so we watch it. If there's any movement around that, then we're going to detect it before they get to your D-Mark and your cabling where all that comes into your building. So we're going to see them get to that point. When we set a system up, this is a basic shot here. This is a guesstimate. The arcs that you see here are different type of cameras we use. But basically the client sets up, where is your perimeter? You tell me where your perimeter is. It may not be a fence. You may have 10 acres and equipment junk stored over here that you wouldn't wish someone would tote off because it's going to cost you to get rid of it. You may just want to cover a place right around your facility. So this is just a look at basically what we cover. And we set everything up with infrared so we can see in total darkness. Depending on the facilities, will determine what type of camera we'll use. So this is just a Google Earth snapshot that we take and we draw on and make a little pretty pictures with. How the EPS system works, I've told you a little bit about analytics, talk just a little bit more about it right quick. Smart DVR technology, along with software that we use, is what makes the system work. Basically, we don't have someone just sitting there staring at a bunch of incoming streaming video coming into the monitor center. There's too many cameras. If you have someone sitting there just watching it, the eyes are not going to pick up motion. They're going to be too relaxed. So we use motion to start the stream of video into the monitor center. Now what we do that no one ever sees is we also set up video analytics to detect intruders. If you notice little lines running across here, basically it's just a graph. And we have to set all this up at each place. Anytime they cross one of these little bars on this grid, it's called a grid instead of a graph, and the arrows are just pointing to the grids, it's going to cause that video camera to start recording. It's going to push it to the monitor center with an audible and a light that we have set up. Video comes up, a map comes up, and the information for the dealership comes up. We have 2 people that are watching, so if it gets crazy one night, we can cover it. And we know based on prior trials that we know how many cameras each person can watch and be effective at it. But that's what makes this work. These trip lines in here, and then the sheer motion. We can detect the size of a June bug. The footage really doesn't matter. I mean, there's cameras out there we can see 1,500 feet with and detect the size of a June bug movement at 1,500 feet. So it depends on your property. That's what we're after. We're not after, okay, why didn't you get the license plate? Well, do you know how many places you can pull up at a dealership and the license plate's not going to be viewable? Or why don't you, did he have a mustache or did he not? No, he had a hoodie on with a face mask. We saw his eyes. He had brown eyes. So we're concerned about motion. We're concerned about your perimeter and motion at that perimeter. Here's another pretty good video here. This happened recently.
They've got a jumper box in their left hand, you can't really
Is
tell
that-
what
yeah.
they hold it, but they've got a back, we pull our fuses, that's us, we pull our fuses on all our RTDs and our zero turns, and they know that now. That deterred them for a little bit, but now they carry their own damn jumper box with them, so they can jump the starter off and get the damn thing running, and then they can take it off and it's fine. They just need it started.
Pay close attention here. Now, there's no audio to this. This particular camera didn't have audio associated with it to record.
The minute they got in there, though, the camera came and notified your people.
Here they go.
Cops are
Yeah,
coming.
we actually, I didn't put it all on here, but we saw them when they drove up and parked
Right.
outside the dealership. We see beyond the perimeter. We wanted to take beyond the perimeter so that we can, this is one of those, well, let's just see where they're going and what they're doing. And see what happens when we get on the amplified PA system, and if they'd have stolen something, I'd have had a hard time.
We have three cameras on the lot.
Yeah, there's.
We watched it from the east, go to this camera, switch to the middle camera, switch to the
So
west
you saying
camera.
that you got on a PA system and said, hey.
We set up an amplified PA
hey guys in
system.
green jacket, get your pass off the dealership.
There you go.
Seat pass.
We actually have some canned messages that we play. If it gets, you know, you can watch and tell if it's becoming a heightened attempt to do damage or take away. At any time, they have a headset, they can go live with just a click of a mouse and say, hey, you in the red ski jacket, yeah, get off my property, call the law. This didn't take that. We went to level 2, which we have 5 levels of notification. We went to level 2 here, and you saw them jet. You know.
What's level 2? Is that where somebody said, yelled at them?
Right, we have some recordings, and they go through level 5. And it depends on the agent monitoring. Some of them are comfortable with saying, hey, you in the red hoodie, get away, we're calling the law. And some of them, they want to go through the protocol that we have and use the can statements. And while we're talking about statements and communication, we can communicate with your after-hour shoppers when they come in. We can play a welcome message.
Yeah, the real ones, the ones that really are the real.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just welcome to Zimmer Kubota. Our hours are from 8 to 5
Some
on
areas.
Friday, 8 to noon on Saturdays. You know,
So then they know they're.
Oh, the real shop.
Yep.
yeah, they know they're being monitored.
They won't steal that fuel cap.
Some of them, yeah, there you go. That's right. Some of them stay, some of them leave.
We got your license plate number, we'll call you tomorrow.
It can be a,
One nice thing about what happened that night, that was on a Monday night, I was sitting home watching the Monday night football game, and Alex calls me and says, here, I'm gonna send you this clip that's just happened. And he did, and I watched it, it was pretty cool. But the nice thing about for us, is that they didn't tear anything up.
Yeah,
They didn't cut my fence, they didn't screw up 18 pieces of equipment, and the best part, they didn't take anything. So I mean, it was a win-win-win. You know, we didn't catch it. The only negative is we didn't catch it, but they didn't do any damage or screw anything up.
I started talking to Brian last year about this, and I said, pull the trigger yet, there was a drought in Texas.
yeah.
Really?
Oh, really?
And there wasn't a demand for theft from our dealership anyway. But I said, well, why not go ahead and don't notify them, let them get in, let's catch these guys. And it finally came back around to, well, I don't have faith in the police. They're gonna do more damage. We're not gonna really, the police are gonna give them a pass just to rat somebody else out.
Well,
We're
they
never
took
gonna
12
do
minutes. They called the cops when they ran. And Brian kind of took the city Fort Worth Police Department 12 minutes to get our property out. Well, they do a lot of stuff.
That's pretty good.
After they ran out of the lot?
Yes,
That's
they
when you
called
called
cops when they ran, and it took them 12 minutes to get there.
If the dealer wanted, could you call them the minute they?
Well, here's
broke
the thing, and that's a good question. We don't want to become the alarm industry for video surveillance industry that we're trying to start.
I got it.
EPS is calling again, do you want to go out there or not? No, I'm not going out there. All I
Yeah,
do
I
is
got
call
you.
you.
Okay.
We don't want to get to that point.
I got you.
So when we train
Makes sense.
our we call them APODs, agent personnel on duty, when we train them to watch video and what to watch for and what to do, we train them not to call as soon as now, if the guy's up there with cutters and he's already hacking on the fence or cutting a block off, yes, we're going to call. But in this case here, there's 3 cameras here, and we picked them up, was from east to west. I mean, you can see that all they had to do basically was hop the fence. Now, at some point, they were going to do some damage to the fence to get the units out that they came in there to pick up. So we don't want to become that company that calls every time we see something, nor do we want to call the principal or the manager, you know, every time we see something, because then you're going to get tired of receiving calls early in the morning. Now, you know, if it's something important, then we'll notify the dealer principal or the manager or the police. And we talk about this all the time. When we first started this, when we first started this, I was like, man, we're gonna get them in here at the dealership, and we're gonna nail them. Too many things can go wrong. In our county, sometimes we've got 2 sheriff's deputies on patrol. They could be 25 miles to the north or south end of the county and get the call. Well, if the DPS is working a wreck somewhere, there's one of those in our county now. Who's going to come to the rescue, you know? So, like Sam said, 14 minutes, 14 minutes, they can do a lot of damage. In 30 minutes, they can total a lot of stuff off. So.
Yep. Sammy, you got a fence around that?
Yes. The reason they took off to the east, there's a chain link fence all the way around, and I've got a pipe gate on the very east end with a chain link fence, but there's a hole just big enough where they slid under. You can see their slide marks. They look like they're sliding in a second getting out of there.
They were moving pretty fast.
Yeah, they were really fast.
What was that, 11 weeks ago?
November 7th was Monday night.
And that was 8, shortly after 8.
That was 10 o'clock.
Oh, that's right, 10 o'clock.
10 something.
Yeah, that's right.
It was about the middle of the fourth quarter.
This is a form that we use to communicate with our clients. When we go in and set the system up, we do paperwork. Who do you want us to contact? Who are the priorities? First, second, third, and then who do you want to receive an email? So what precedes this is an email that you receive just saying either you had out of perimeter activity. There's a multiple list of different things that we post. If you want to read it in detail, then you click on the link, and it takes you to the form, and you log in with your password, and you can get more detail. You'll always get a snapshot of what's going on. This one says truck pulled up to gate right front view. Got out of truck and hit the tractors, issued level 1 warning. They continued to stay, so issued level 2. He got back in his truck. And he stopped a little bit, so he issued level 3, then he left. As we go through the warnings, level 3 is more stern. You know, it's time for you to leave. This one down here is just showing where the local sheriff's department showed up. And here he's just doing a walkthrough, basically. So that's something that you'll receive. And if we want to communicate with our clients, any problems that we have or any problems that we're seeing, we'll post it on this, we call it iEvents. We'll post it on this forum. If you want to communicate back to us or get in touch with our service people, you can communicate through the forum here. We just sent something out here recently asking for closing days for the holidays to find out who's going to be open, who's not going to be open. So it's a way for us to communicate. Video production for police in less than an hour, viewable over the internet. Photos available in less than 60 minutes after an incident through our forum called iEvents. The business owner management notification through the iEvents to let them know of an incident. Not all over like what Sam had the other night, and there's no need to bother you or wake you up or call you in the morning. So this is just to reiterate what we do and how we communicate with the principal or the manager. We do have the ability to push video to the police dispatch for real-time viewing. And this is pretty cool stuff, and there's some things we're working with. We're working with the city of Gainesville right now to build a synergy in Gainesville so that we have several businesses in the area that have our system. Well, then we get the city of Gainesville on the system. If they want to, we can push live real-time video, not only to their dispatch, we can push it directly to their patrol cars. And we're doing that through setting up, integrating wireless systems citywide. Gainesville's not a big city in terms of radius. Most of the wireless that we use, we can send signals or receive up to 25 miles. So there's a lot we can do with that. And what you end up with is a synergy in a smaller town that tells the people, hey, you don't need to be in Gainesville. You know, we've got covert cameras working for the police department. We've got, you know, businesses that have our systems. You're not welcome here. And by working together is the way we're going to solve this. This is, there's some of you sell steel. I'm really not selling it for that. I know it went up $10. This is just an example. We set up a website for you to go to as a client so that you can access your video. So anywhere you have internet access, you'll be able to access your system no matter where you are. And anyone that you have that you want to let get into your system, you give them a password, they can access it as well. This little square here is just something that we put in there. If you have multiple locations and you have multiple managers and you want to communicate something to them, maybe it's a mission statement, maybe it's a, you know, make it rain statement or whatever it is, we can put it in here for you. So that's just showing an example of some of the things that we can do. You can also communicate with us back through this website that we set up for you. We host it and we take care of it. We also have this Is It Up, and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a minute when we talk about how we maintain the system. This is what Brian thinks needs to happen in our industry. And I'm not pointing finger or saying, you know, we've got to do this. We've already started. We have, I'd like to see more collaboration with the association, insurance companies, and we need to do a little better job as dealerships of working with our police department, and maybe if we have a local task force in our area, we need to become involved with that. And by association, let me come here today and present this. I mean, I think that shows strong support in the effort to we've got to slow this equipment theft down, because you may not have a break-in this year. You may only have one. Your deductible may still be at $1,500, $2,500, or whatever it is you said there. But every time we have a loss, it's not just affecting your dealership, it's affecting all the dealerships around. Just correct me if I'm wrong, it all goes into a risk pool. Whether you're an equipment dealer or a construction dealer, and that's going to change the more losses they have. I mean, they're not in business to lose money, just like we're not. So, again, why we need to do this, why do we need to have this collaborative effort? Insurance premiums are increasing. Deductibles are rising. Some dealers are exiting certain profit centers because it's a high risk, and the insurance companies will no longer insure. Oh, you're selling UTVs or ATVs. You can't do that, or it's on your own. And I don't know what companies are doing it, but I know it's being done. So what we're doing is we're sitting back and letting the thieves dictate how we run our business, and that's not good. Claims ratio is rising for my own self. And my insurance company paid 4 times to my 1. That's a 4-to-1 loss ratio. You don't think they're sitting there thinking, we're going to give you this next year? I mean, it makes common sense.
Sure.
They have to.
Sure.
They have to go up. Like I said, they operate a profit center also. So that's why we need more effort between everyone involved to make this work. All right, who handles the maintenance on the DVRs? We do, and we do it remotely. We log in and take care of your system. It's not something you have to go in the morning and say, well, did my hard drive fill up? Did it dump it? Is it recording? Is it working? We monitor that. We're going to see it before you are. We do all the software system upgrades. If we have to come on site, we will. No, we can do it remotely. We monitor your DVR performance. That's a critical issue right here. We know the temperature of it. We know how the hard drive's functioning. We know everything about that. We have software that monitors that. And if something's out of whack, the software beeps and tells us, hey, you need to fix it. We also, something that's real critical is we monitor internet connection uptime. And I invite questions about this at any time, during my presentation, but if we have 2 areas that are going to hurt us, one of them is going to be our internet service provider is down. The other is power cut off. Okay, you can only have battery backup for so long. A lot of people are using generators as power backups. I'm seeing more and more of those around. Fortunate, internet service providers, most of the people that we deal with, we're seeing a 98% uptime. And really, it just doesn't warrant paying that extra $65 to $100 a month for wireless, not wireless, having the card in the back of the DVR. Yeah, that is wireless. It communicates, whether it be Sprint, AT&T, or whoever it is. You only have 2% there that the ISP provider is not running. So what do we do in an event that we have downtime through the ISP, the internet service provider? We contact and find out what the situation is. If it's gonna be a lengthy period of time, when I say lengthy, if it's gonna be longer than 30 minutes to an hour, that's when we're gonna make the phone call and wake you up 3 in the morning, saying, look, CenturyLink is down. They told us it's down in a certain area. They're gonna be down for 6 hours. What do you wanna do? And then you make that decision. Unfortunately, if it was me, I'd probably just lay back down and take a chance. I'd rather you make that decision than us make that decision for you. Power outage, if we see that we have power out, there's certain protocol that we follow to assure that it's out. If it's out, there again for 30 minutes to an hour, we'll make that phone call, telling you that you have power out at your dealership. What do you want to do about it? So we monitor all of these things so that you don't have to worry about it. Outside, out of mind. We also, if you have a conventional alarm system, we will receive that call from the conventional alarm system people, do a virtual tour of your facility and tell them nothing's wrong, it's a false alarm. Glass breakage, that's the one that always goes off. You got glass breakage, it's 3910 Highway 79 North Palestine, you're going to do something, you want to call the law. I'm like, slow down, you just woke me up, it's 2:30 in the morning. I don't fool that anymore. They call the monitor center, they do a virtual tour inside and out, and they tell them whether, someone's there or not. At the moment it's not. In summary, we custom design and install video surveillance. We monitor video with virtual guard using analytics, I talked about a while ago, and that's all done through the software we use. We communicate through iEvents, an iEvents forum with the dealership principal, manager, or whoever you want us to communicate with. We set up a custom website for your access. There again, the principal, manager, whoever it is you want to access that. We maintain your DVR. And first and foremost, we protect you from the outside in. And when I say the outside in, I'm talking at your perimeter, back to the inside. We want to catch these guys before they do damage to your fence, your property. Here's another pretty good video I'll show you. Now there is audio with this, you probably can't hear it. And you'll see a blue spot in the camera. When motion stops, the camera will stop also.
Stop.
What, 10 o'clock at night?
Is that car up there at the top?
It's a diesel dually with a trailer behind it.
Oh, I see. You came loaded for bear there.
Getting ready. Takes a while to get lined up just
He can't back a trailer, that's for sure.
You want to get it just right.
He's probably not familiar with it, it's not his.
He stole it somewhere else.
God, how did he get back up like that?
Like I say, he wants to get lined up on that zero turn just right. Just perfect. So it doesn't take him a lot of time to load.
So at this point, you're just monitoring?
No, we're watching to see what he's going to do.
Yeah,
this is where it gets real comical when the person watching their heart's beating like this.
Yeah.
They're
Sam, which location is this at?
Decatur. That's our front door camera.
Oh, okay.
Then there's no
no motion.
Okay.
And that comes back on and detected motion again. It happens that quick.
What time of night was this?
8 o'clock.
Bye-bye.
Okay, not a problem.
I think I'll go now.
I'll be damned.
I'm finished here.
We have other video clips of this, but that's a perfect example, just like the two guys that were on foot.
Do your people make the judgment call on any verbal announcement that goes out there?
They sure do.
So when Sammy comes up and says, "I'm the owner," don't say anything to him. It won't shoot him.
Well,
I just wonder how they.
No, that's a good question. After about a week, we know who comes and goes, and who should be there and who shouldn't. We like for dealers or businesses to communicate with us if someone's gonna be in late. We may be training someone new.
And I can even, if I can't get on the system, because with my laptop, I can view all the cameras. I've got a glitch in my system now, because I changed some stuff, and I can't sign on now. But if I want to call them and say, hey, is there somebody at the footwear store in the third building? And they'll, Alex or Shannon will come on and say, yeah, let me pull that up for you. Yeah, there's somebody in there. Okay. I'll call, who's in there? What are you doing?
I need that.
Here's the bad thing about it, we start recognizing who are employees and who are not. And then all of a sudden you have, maybe we don't know that you terminated an employee and they show up there, well, they're like, well, he's been here, every other night for the past week. What's different now? That's where communication with us is very important. And that's kind of a hard part of what we do as far as the monitor center is employees that come in, maybe later, earlier, whatever. But for the most part, everyone does a good job communicating with us. I'm going to be late tonight. Truck driver's going to be in tonight. You can do it through an email. You can do it through a phone call. Either way, we're going to get it. So this is my favorite here. Hey, you never know who or what's going to show up. See the coyote right here? If they come more than once, we give them a name. We have raccoons, possums, skunks, but that's okay. A question that comes up quite a bit is, well, what if a dog walks in front of it? Well, there's your dog. Take a picture of it. And, for the longest, this site here was online, and they were quiet. I mean, and we have each client rated, color coded, as because of the activity that goes on there.
Those colors mean.
That's what the colors are. I don't know what I did here. So we color code the dealerships, and that way we know where they are as far as what we think, how secure they are. This dealership had nothing going on at all. They had just had 2 break-ins, pretty big thefts, some cab tractors stolen before we installed the system. And I talked to the owner, and he was like, man, I'm thankful it's quiet. But are y'all really doing your job? So I'm like, let's send him this right here. This is what's on your site, Mr. Dealer Owner, your coyote. This came later. This was not too long ago. This was on the 24th of October. This guy here enters through the back. Now this is total darkness. This is infrared lighting at its best right here. We can see, you can't tell how far that is, but we've got there's about 400 feet across here that we can see. This guy comes in from the back, and he walks up here, and he's just sitting there staring at the camera. And no one ever comes on this site. They don't have open gates. They have to access it from a back area. They have to cross or climb through a fence. And he's just sitting there looking at it. Well, these little IRs that we use, infrared lighting, they glow, but they're not bright. They don't shine in your eyes. And I don't know what he was looking at. But let me tell you what, and I should have included that video here. When we gave him the first level of warning, he was gone. He ran directly to this corner, and we hadn't seen him since. So maybe he went and told his friends that, they're so, any questions? I know we covered a lot. It's
I was obviously interested in privacy and all that stuff. You may not want to get into that now, but we particularly have one location, and since our insurance guys are sitting here, I'm sure they'd be glad to help kick in a little bit here. But we've got one location that is very susceptible, more so than any other, so we'd be, it'd be kind of an interesting thing to start out on one location to see. But are you going anywhere?
We will go anywhere here, out of state here, because we're licensed in Texas. Well, when we go out of state now, what we have to do is we find a reputable company in a reputable video surveillance company. We do the design, we do everything. We send them a sheet, if you will, a build sheet, exactly how we want to set up. We pay them. If we got to come up there, when it's complete, we'll do that. They use our stuff because we know what works. We don't use junk. Junk doesn't work. And so we have them install it, and then we monitor back in Texas where we're licensed in.
So you'd be calling those signals out in Texas?
Yes, sir. We can go anywhere internet goes.
Yeah.
That's the neat thing about it.
Sammy's gonna push them all out of Texas, they're coming north.
Yeah, so, north.
Now leave us alone, there's.
Yeah, 10 tender coming your way.
Take care of it.
You know, I'll say one other thing. I called the city of Fort Worth because the police officer came and I sent my partner out to make sure there wasn't a gaping hole in the fence, you know, and then there wasn't, everything was fine. And then I called that next day and had a case number and said, hey, you know, I want to make sure that y'all know there was somebody there. I had video of it, so you don't give me a false alarm. And she looked it up. She said, well, I can't give you a false alarm. I said, why? She goes, because you don't have an alarm permit. I said, oh. She said, and, you know, you have documented, you know, video and the call that came in that said somebody saw it. She said, we call that verified. As long as we have verification, we will not bill you for a false alarm. And secondly, since you don't even have a permit, I can't send you one anyway. So I don't, and the key is, I didn't even have to have a permit. I don't have to have a permit with the city of Fort Worth for this system. It's even one step better than I'm screwed with the permit.
And that's in the major metro area.
Well, have you had any theft since you've had this?
Zero.
Yeah, the other
What
deal.
started this, I'm not even sure how Brian just called on us or how it started, but we got, you know, we opened up our Gainesville store in December, and in the middle of January, they hit us and stole 2 damn RTVs. Jesus Christ. We said, let's try it, you know? I'm so sick of getting hit.
You have all your stores now?
4 or 5.
Which one don't you?
I got a church.
That's the store that we have the video on now, that we can at least know that they stole.
There you go. We,
How many dealers have you got?
we've got 12 now.
Okay.
But we have, and that's just equipment dealers. We have
Right.
some other people that we monitor
Right.
as well, and, it's,
We've gotten good reports, just so everybody knows, from the guys that I know that have bought the system. Bob
Right.
Lanford and the guys.
Smoke in your shop.
oh, that's a good story. Thanks, Jeff. We're not in the smoke alarm business, but we had last winter. Let me back up here just a second and talk about what Sam was talking about. We, number one, I want to make sure the system worked before I started going out and saying, hey, you know, Sam, you know, I've known you a long time, you want to try it out? Well, it's a pretty sizable investment. And so we took the time to make sure it would work. We've averted several thefts at my location from it. And so now we're in my dealership, we're a year and 7 months without any loss. No damage, fuel caps missing, no top links. Take the top links off now. Lift arms, you know, things that used to not go away. I mean, I can remember, and most of you have been in this deal a long time, I can remember when you parked your stuff out, you didn't have a fence. And folks didn't steal your stuff, but unfortunately times have changed. So we tried it before. I sent an email to Sam and a few select others, said, hey, this is what I'm doing now. I'd like to introduce you to it. And thankfully Sam was. He called me out of the blue one day. I'm not going to call and hammer you about it. Here's what we have. It works. If you want it, I'll work with you, and we'll make it happen. If you don't, I'm not going to bother you. And Sam contacted us and, man, we're having a lot of theft. Can you help us out? Yes, I can. And the deal with the smoke in the shop, we had, and I know y'all don't have this issue, the techs drain the oil out of whatever they're working on, and I know they always dump it right away, right? He left 5-gallon pails of spent motor oil. Yeah, it was cold last winter, as most of you remember, and cold for us in Texas is anything below 40. So we had a torpedo heater going over here. Well, he didn't turn it off, and the shop foreman, the shop manager didn't walk around and make sure the lights are off, the parts washer's closed, and the heaters are off. Well, I get a call. It was late at night. I was already in bed, and they said, something's smoking in your shop. Is there a fire nearby or something that could be creating smoke? And I'm like, there's no fire. There's no smoke. Just keep an eye on it. I'm going back to bed. All right, well, later I get a call. There's smoke in your shop, Brian. I really think it's smoke. It's blue. And I said, that camera's been back there. That's one of the old ones that we've had for 4 years now. I'm sure it's just wigging out on us tonight. Third call, I said, you know, I better go up there. Sure enough, this torpedo heater, right by that 5-gallon pail of oil, had heated to the point to where it was smoking, okay? And that's what we, you know, our system is not just for external theft control, but use it to its capabilities, use it internally. And that was an internal issue for us, that they happened to just be going through, and that's something else we do that I didn't mention. We don't just wait for the alarm to go off, or someone to trip the analytics. We do a virtual tour of the facility every hour. We bring all the cameras up, we tour the facility, put them back to sleep. And that's when they caught this. And just because we charge for 4, 6, or 8 exterior cameras to monitor doesn't mean we're not going to use your inside cameras and the rest of the cameras that are on your facility. We're going to use what it takes to get the job done. So, you know, who knows what we alleviated there. I mean, that could have been catastrophic. And I'm thankful on the 3rd attempt. I'm glad they called me back, and I went up there and found that we had a possible fire on our hands. Any other questions?
Is there an insurance benefit? You get a discount? Is anybody saying, do you get
You know, to this point,
We're going to cancel me.
to this point, that I'm not aware of, and I don't think Federated's doing it nationwide. Business is not at this point coming in and saying, hey, if you use the EPS system, you get 10% discount. I'd like to see that. I'd like to work toward that. But I can assure you, if you've had several thefts and you have a deductible of $25,000 or $50,000 like I have,
Yeah, I think
Does it
yes.
come into play at the underwriting scenario?
It is, there's discretionary credit, Paul, we'll talk a little bit about that here in a little bit, but I mean, all things being equal.
But I mean, as soon as we installed at one store, I called Rick. Rick, this is what we did. I sent Rick that video. We got it in 4 to 5 stores now. We're doing it. I just wanted Federated to know that we are doing everything we can.
Well, and
stop
we've got our risk, our pool, and if we've got enough dealers, I mean, the amount of theft that we're experiencing, it's astronomical. If we got enough dealers that are doing stuff to solve it, that gives us a dividend. You know, when we get back to the dealers. Like, we're the only association right out of the Central Division to get a dividend last year. So if we got more dealers who are protecting their property,
We just
hopefully you get
it
it.
makes it too hard to steal from us. They're going to steal from somebody, I think.
Yeah.
well, they're going to steal from somebody.
So they'll just go somewhere else and leave us alone. And I don't know, maybe if they want our product that bad, maybe they'll figure out a way around it. But today,
For the equipment industry, I wanted to get more dealers on board and have a longer length of time before I went to Federated, Nationwide, Agribusiness, Century, whoever it is, and say, here's what I have, I'd like to present it to you. Let's see what we can do to help the dealers out. But I want to take them some facts. And we're in the process of gathering those facts, and we're in the process of saving pictures and videos and things like that so we can show, you know, hey, now we're at year 2 with this dealership that had a 4-to-1 loss ratio, and they haven't lost anything. Now, I know the thieves didn't just decide to retire. They're still alive and well, so that's what I'm working on. I don't, some of you may remember the cable lock guy coming around to visit you. I don't want to be the cable lock guy, okay? I don't want to be the guy that came to you and said, hey, it's foolproof, put it in to $69.95 and you won't have no more thieves. That's not where I'm at with it. Nor am I, if you price what we have to offer versus the stop and go video surveillance stores, you're going to find that we're very competitive. I want to put a stop to it. I didn't get into this business to get rich overnight. I got in it because I have an interest.
You know, we need to get the Federated guys on the program
Sure.
here, but Brian, what you're asking for, you'd like to have an endorsement by the Southwestern Association, then we would work up some sort of a marketing strategy plan to work with you to promote the program through our membership and, right?
It's something I'd like to visit with you about.
Okay.
And you know, and
Perfect.
honestly, I don't know how that works. I just know we have a system that works. And
Okay.
I'm not here, you know, I didn't come here today with the intent of saying, I want your endorsement and I want Federated's endorsement. I want to show you what we have so that everyone knows, and as you move forward here, if you have issues or you have other dealers that call in, I mean, the list that Olivia sends out just gets longer and longer.
Yeah.
And I'm not an ambulance chaser, okay?
I understand.
I'm not going to run down the list. Hey, see, you got tractor stolen 2 weeks ago. So,
Well, we get a lot of dealers asking, what do you do? I mean, they've been through everything you've been through, and they're still getting robbed.
I'd
So,
like to make one other point. Brian has never asked me for an endorsement, ever. He's never asked me to say anything on his behalf of any kind. But I told him, you ever want me to say anything, call me. Believe me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's,
Good stuff.
and the more time you have with it, the more comfortable you are with it. And I can guarantee you this, and this is from, you gotta understand, it's protecting me too. I don't sit up at night and watch cameras. I guarantee you I don't. But if something happened and I went to Sam and Sam, we're shutting it down, brother, I guarantee you he's gonna hurt right here. I'm gonna hurt right here because now I'm back to square one. So I want the association to know and the folks that are sitting here that I have the resources and I'm gonna continue with this. And
Good stuff.
you know, does anyone have any other questions?
Looks good.
And again, I appreciate you letting me.
Thanks, Brian.
Yep, appreciate it, Brian.
Brian's gonna be with us tonight, at dinner and reception, right? So there'll be a chance
I'll be
to.
around.
Yeah,
I'll
good.
sit tonight. I'm out early in the morning.
Yeah, there's, under tab, what is it, Olivia? Five? Yeah. There's a little material in there in 5.
You don't need to, let me know.
Somewhere.
Yeah, towards the back, yeah. Big back.
I wish I would have screwed mine out.
So I think, Brian, if people are interested and want to talk more to you about price and that sort of thing tonight, we can do that.
We can do that.
And then we talk maybe in the morning, guys, we'll talk as a group and say, how do we want to move forward? Okay?
Bueno.
Thanks, Brian. Good
Send
stuff.
me those. Actually, I see that hammer, I am see the hammer. I don't know if it on this.
You know, I was just thinking about theft, the theft, it sounds terrible, but remember Jeb Henderson's deal? He had a fence locked. They locked it every night. And they took the padlock and hung it in the chain link fence when they unlocked the gate around his dealership. Thieves go, switch out their lock. So the next morning they come in and there's half it's gone. And it's still locked. And he's going, and the fence is not cut. How the hell did they get in there? He sticks his key in the padlock.
We lock our padlocks to
Yeah.
the gate.
But see, Brian's deal, motion would have caught that. So.
The other thing too that Brian didn't say that I didn't know I could tell Alex, I guess Alex is your partner.
Alex is partner,
Right.
yes.
That if I had a microphone on my laptop and I'm viewing that camera, I can talk loud too if I want. If I've got the administrative rights.
You do, if you have we do put a microphone, I didn't mention that part of it. There's a lot more detail that goes on than just plugging the system and looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Level 6 got them mounted on the
We can does on his laptop.
We can tie a microphone in anywhere you want to have it.
Yeah.
If you want to monitor what's going on at your parts counter, your service department, if you have issues, we can make it happen.
Sammy's not going to get any sleep from now on. He's going to be up all night.
He's
waiting.
Are you hooked? And I will say this,
Good as
we
you
have
are.
communicated with law enforcement. Typically, we'll put the mic near the front entrance, so when they approach it, we can communicate with them.
It will scare the.
Yeah, we'll
I mean, you don't know it's there, you're not expecting anything, you're coming by the front door and this big bullhorn is over there on the side of the building, and they start talking to you, you will start breakdancing.
Will Harold stand up on that? Get that video.
Get these guys up there.
Sam, did you delegate Rick on there? Rick can do it in the middle of the night?
Yeah, it's your job.
Thanks, Brian. Good job. Hey, guys, I think everybody knows Dan Garcia.